Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Who Cares Anyway podcast. We are live, and it is Friday night. And I'm seeing in the chat, we got the China 6 army going right now. I love every single one of you. This is amazing. Let's keep this up. Let's make this a thing. Let's keep building it bigger. You guys are all freaking great. Who am I? I am simply your host for the show, Chris Dohmen. But, in some circles, they might call me Skywalker, and we'll get more into that, why that's happening in just a moment here. But before we get to that, let's, of course, introduce the panel, starting off with Kees Cornelisse. Kees, as soon as we're done here, our reaction to the title match is going to drop. Why don't you give the folks a preview of what kind of facial expressions you made during that reaction? Yeah, that's one. The amazing oh my god sign. The holy shit, what the fuck is happening? I love it.
That type of stuff. Like holy crap, what a match. And what just not just the match itself, but something happens after the match, which is really cool. Also, I am still alive. I've not melted yet, even though our heat record was broken yesterday in the Netherlands. Seriously, I looked it up on the news. It had never been, until yesterday, over 40 degrees Celsius, which is 104 Fahrenheit for you Americans who don't understand Celsius, in the Netherlands ever. And it had been reached yesterday, 40.2, which was insane. This week has been really hot. But I survived, and hopefully it's cooling down in the next couple of days. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's that could be a little of a bummer when you've got all that hot weather. It makes gets everyone a little agitated, gets everyone real hot and sweaty, much like a weekend at Comic-Con, I can imagine. And we'll get more into that in a little bit in the second half of the show. But of course, we also have to welcome back. Literally, he just got back from his vacation like an hour ago. Nico Rigoli, how was your vacation, sir?
I'm back. It's always nice to spend a week at the beach, eating great food, getting some sun, and catching some waves. I don't surf, so I was literally just catching the waves against my body as they hit the shore. Vacation was great. The traveling to and from, not so much. Like, my God, 10 hours at least driving one way. It is a nightmare. Like, I felt my ass slowly fusing into the car seat the longer we sat down. Yes, we should have taken a plane. Thank you, Kees. But no. For some reason, my grandmother wanted us to bring board games, and she thought, if we bring board games, that means needing another suitcase that's going to cost extra money. So, no use in using the airport that's literally so close to the house we're going to be staying at in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. So, yeah, not a lot of sense being made in regards to the older people going on this trip, but it is what it is. I still had a fun time. And now I'm back here, had some dinner. Let's do a podcast.
Hell yeah.
China sticks.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. China sticks. And I've been seeing it in the chat. I'm already seeing our usual Brian Nussbaum, Tyler Schwent. Sorry, I forgot.
Schwent.
Yeah, yes. Schwent, yes. You guys are dropping the hashtag China sticks. I love it. And you know what, Nico, that actually reminds me of a time that I had to go to Kentucky for a wedding. Longest effing drive ever. And here's the thing, my mother and I, we were there for like 2 days. We could have just flown, but no, she wanted to drive and whatever. It's like, Mom, can we just fly? But no.
This reminds me when my mom, we were on vacation in Miami and we wanted to see Washington, D.C. And my mom was like, we're going to take the train because we've never taken the train before. I'm like, Mom, why are we doing this? It took us fucking 30 hours.
Oh. See, here's the thing. Road trips can be fun. But I feel like road trips are usually fun when they're with people your own age. But when you go with family, it's kind of a different situation.
It's like an obligation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is what it is, and enough lollygagging, at least in terms of shenanigans for us young folks not want to talk too much with people that much older than us. But and I say that with just a little bit of joke because I actually do have a lot of respect for our guest who is on for the entirety of the show. We are so happy to have him on. You guys know him as the co-founder of the Movie Trivia FaceOff, which is the newest big league of the biggest fan league of the Schmodown. Please welcome Dave Ham, a.k.a. DJ Snaxx. Dude, thank you so much for being here, man. And how are you doing?
Hey, everybody, what's happening?
Yes.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Of course, and I do see the lovely shirt because, you got to rep the brand. You got to rep it. Rep the brand, baby. I mean,
unfortunately, my Movie Trivia Face-Off T-shirt is in the hamper right now because I have to do laundry tomorrow.
Same. And the best part for me is I'll have to do it after like 10 hours of work. So,
ow!
Yay!
Right there with you.
Yep. You feel my pain, sir. Thank you.
Oh.
But
it's been a long week for me work-wise, but we're not getting into that right now.
Absolutely. Now, and actually, Snaxx, since we got you here, I actually wanted to give you a moment to just sort of talk about some of the upcoming stuff in the face-off, because I know that on Sunday, you guys hopefully have seen that first round match of the singles tournament where Kyle Gabrandt and Scott Harvey faced off, and I was actually rooting for Kyle.
Busted a lot of brackets, including mine. So for those of you who don't know, the Movie Trivia Face-Off, as Chris said, is the newest fan league related to the Movie Trivia Schmodown League that's run by Mark Ellis and Christian Harloff. Been around for about 6 years now. We started about 5 months ago, roughly. It came about when Emma took over the Patreon and decided to start up a Discord for the Patreon, for the Movie Trivia Schmodown, easy for me to say, patrons. And it was almost instantaneous where myself and David the Spaniard Garcia got together and said, why don't we have a fan league just for Schmodown patrons? And within 48 hours, it was on. We had everything raring to go. We had, question writers, we had graphics designers, we had people coming out of the woodwork that wanted to participate. So, I mean, literally within 48 hours, we could have gone high speed right then. But we took a little time, got our stuff together. We wanted to do it right. So, as you said, we do have the singles tournament has started. Had 16 play-in or qualifying matches for our 16 competitors. It will be 5 rounds total, including the championship. And, Gerbrandt absolutely blew my bracket already. What about you, Chris?
Yep, it was busted. Because I wanted him to win that one. Because don't get me wrong, Scott is good from the training sessions I've been in with him. And that's one of the other reasons I really love what you guys are doing is that you guys are very involved with the players, and you'll oftentimes have, we'll actually all get together in Discord and we'll sit down and actually train with each other for what can be up to hours on end. And, maybe could I be doing other things with my spare time, like catching up on Game of Thrones? Sure. But I have like 5 tournaments I'm in this summer, so I need study time. And thank you guys for
After you're done with the tournaments, you watch Game of Thrones.
I will, Kees. I promise.
Also, there is no need to really finish the show. Just watch until season 7, then you're good.
Oh, there it is.
Take a shot. Hey, since we are talking about the face-off, I have to bring in the other person on the panel here. C-Dub is actually a competitor in the face-off as well.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of, hi. Hi, Nico.
Okay. All right. Let's address the elephant in the room. So I think out of the first couple matches that aired for the league, I was match number 3. I faced Chris Woodburn, and basically, it was like I was battling Murphy's Law while I was battling Chris Woodburn. Literally everything that could have gone wrong for me did, in fact, go wrong. He played either it was a near perfect or perfect game for him. And I had a brain fart on such an easy question with Sean Connery. I just couldn't find my rhythm. Everything went wrong. I was about to, Like, I wanted to leave the internet after that. And since then, I've had some time to recover, been having some success in Multiplex's Fandom Fight to get my momentum back, some success in Combat Wrestling Trivia, but I have not made my return in the Movie Trivia Face-Off since that defeat. And I'm very glad that you're here, Commissioner, because that actually brings me to something I want to address.
Absolutely, by all means. By the way, I do want to say kudos to you. You've taken this loss. You took it as hard as pretty much anybody could, but you've also stood up under the weight of it, and I'm proud of you for that, man. Good on you for having a solid backbone and saying, yep, that was me. I did that. Not many people would own up to that.
Yeah.
Well, Kees can attest to that because in a match where I lost to his girlfriend, I literally saved face by jumping into a pool.
This is true. This is true.
Okay.
That was awesome.
So I'm used to bouncing back from very bad defeats in the most oddest ways. But getting back on track here. Other than that, it's round robin. You have to lose twice before you're officially knocked out. If you missed it, I called out Brad Gilmore. Whether or not that happens will remain to be seen. And we asked about the potential for a Star Wars League because we know it is one of the bars in the Discord server, along with teams. And Snaxx, if you could just reiterate your answer to us as to what the plans are for those two divisions that have not been started yet.
Oh, sure, I'd be happy to do so. So teams is going to be the next division that we open up. Hopefully,
what the plans are for those two
fingers
divisions
crossed,
that
late
have
September,
not been started.
early October would be. That's where we're shooting for. As far as the Star Wars divisions go, that would be probably December. The goal is to actually tape the matches. Probably a short season, maybe only eight matches to determine a champion, and try to release that all throughout December, leading up to the release of the Rise of Skywalker.
Nice.
And you mentioned the potential for the inclusion of the TV stuff in the event.
Yes, we've been discussing because there's only 11 movies, and we're discussing adding in things of like the animated series and the animated movie, and going into next year, once the TV series start coming out, maybe adding the TV series in as well to expand the database, because you can only ask, what are the only two characters that appear in all 8 Star Wars Saga films so many times? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel that the only question that hasn't been asked yet at this point is what is the full number of the garbage container in A New Hope, because it's probably too deep.
Actually, it has been asked.
I was saying I've gotten that in multiplex, so.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been
there you go.
Yeah. So that's.
I got to answer Jonathan's question.
Oh boy.
We have the release schedule up. It's in the Fan League channel. It's been pinned, so you might want to go there and check it out. That'll get you your answer, buddy.
And there you go. There we go. So yes, guys, I am so sorry. So sorry that happened. But with that, hopefully all the shenanigans out of the way, dear God, I'm going to be up fucking ridiculously late tonight.
Yes,
well.
Brian Nussbaum, damn you, the China Sticks Corporation,
Exactly.
and their nefarious plot to keep us off the air.
Damn you, China Sticks Corporation. First, you want to take over the Fast and Furious movies. Now you want to take over our stream. What the hell? Why? How dare you?
And so confused.
But speaking of tragic news, we actually do have some news that isn't necessarily the greatest thing to hear in the world. That is starting off with the unfortunate passing of well-beloved actor Rutger Hauer, who has now passed away at the age of crap, I forgot. I'll see.
75.
75. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm a little out of it, guys, because bad shit for the last 10 minutes. But yes, you guys would have known him for his work in a lot of Paul Verhoeven films. You guys would have known him for his work as Roy Batty in Blade Runner. Just a well-established actor with a very long career. Thank you, Mr. Hauer, for everything you've done. Kees, because you have seen the original Blade Runner, did you like the character of Roy Batty?
Oh, I think he's great. I think that's probably the most iconic role that he's ever played. And yeah, he's a great actor. He's Dutch, so that's always good. And yeah, had a great career. I also know he has a small role in Batman Begins.
Yep.
Which is good. So yeah, this is unfortunate. I was like, oh, wasn't he young? 75 is a decent age, but it's kind of young. So that's unfortunate.
Now, Nico, as someone who is a little bit less familiar with his actors and actresses, were you familiar with Rutger Hauer at all?
Nope.
Of
Not
course.
at all.
That's all right.
You've seen Batman Begins, right?
Oh, he was in that?
Yes, that's what I just said.
Wow.
You were a little choppy. You were a little choppy on my end. And it's my Wi-Fi, not yours, so you can relax on that. But what role did he play in that movie again?
He said Dick at Wayne Industries.
Oh, yeah,
And at the end,
he's on
it's like, didn't you get the memo, guy?
That's right.
Did Morgan Freeman yell at him at all?
Yes.
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 Okay, it's
That's-
coming back to me now. It's coming back to me now.
Fair enough. Snaxx, any thoughts about the passing of Mr. Howard?
Well, I know him from Blade Runner, obviously. I also know him from Lady Hawk. Probably one of his more beloved movies. There's been a lot of talk about that movie since the past. More bit parts than anything really major starring roles, I would say.
Yeah.
Just a couple of major starring roles. But everything after that was a bit part here and there. But he always played every part unique to who he was. You could never mistake him for anybody else but who he was.
And that was one of the cool things about him, is that like he was able to really sort of sink his teeth into many different types of roles, but everything he always did, he stood out. He was one of those actors that I feel like had a real strong presence to him, which is more than I can say for, I'd say, like 80% of actors from all over the world. And I don't know, maybe it's just something about them crazy Dutch bastards that just know how to bring a presence. Am I right, Kees?
What? Huh? No idea.
I was giving you a compliment, sir. Take it.
I know.
So I'm reading the chat here, and it says it's like we were talking about Brad Gilmore, and that's when it cut out.
Okay. Well, then at least I have a good spot where to place my edits for later. Yay.
Thank you, Random Rock and Real Riffs and Review, for that information.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. We greatly appreciate it. Moving on to the next little piece. Guys, it happened. Avatar has been dethroned, and Avengers Endgame is now the highest grossing movie of all time.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't know Rutger Hauer, but he knows that call. What's
Nico has a very weird way of knowing things sometimes.
He does. It's why we keep him around, because he knows how to make these perfectly odd random throwbacks, and that's why we like him. But yeah,
no judgments. I've been called a walking dictionary of useless information myself.
Same. But no, like this is great. This is absolutely incredible. If any big blockbuster deserved to be the number one highest grossing box office of all time, it's Endgame. Because it's a great movie.
Such a great movie that we're going to be talking a lot about the studio that made it throughout this episode.
Yes, we will. But Case, talk to me.
I have been following Box Office Mojo relentlessly the past couple of weeks, every single time, waiting for them to update the numbers the next day, to see if it could get there. Because I knew there was a chance, and I knew it would be tough, but it was like, God fucking damn it, just beat it, because Avatar does not deserve that thing. It's a decent movie at best that was, for some fucking reason, watched by everyone because it brought back 3D. But if the movie itself was Avengers Endgame is truly deserving of that. Just, it shows what the MCU has become right now. And anyone, because there are still people out there, I know, who still thinks that, oh no, there's comic book fatigue and people don't really like the MCU, they're done with it. Highest grossing movie of all time. Not only that, Captain Marvel grossed over $1 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home will gross over $1 billion after
Already
this
has.
weekend.
Oh, it already is. It already is.
Oh, well,
It's
there
over.
you go. That's the thing. It just shows that how incredibly successful that franchise is, and I think it's awesome that they accomplished it.
Hell yeah. Snaxx?
Yeah, I mean Disney's doing the right thing so far this year. Two over $1 billion and one over $2 billion, almost $3 billion for that one. So I mean, I think they've got their money's worth so far out of these movies this year.
Yeah, I mean, hell, from just these 3 movies alone, they've recovered that $4.4 billion when they bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
No, they already made their money back off of their Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, see, now they're just paying for the Fox Studios.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that investment now has paid itself off too, because once we'll get there in a bit. Nico,
By the way, with them buying Fox, they also now own the Avatar franchise.
yeah, so they officially own the 3 highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah, 4.
4.
Oh no! Wait, Titanic is in there. No,
I thought Titanic was Fox.
Shit, I need to look this up now.
Yeah, or someone corrects in the chat. You know,
researcher, get on that.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, we don't have a researcher. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Nico, what? Tell me how happy you are to hear this news.
I am happy. I literally just thought of Thanos punching one of the Pandorans and imagining like a very slow-mo Pandoran falling to the ground. Like you ever see a tall person fall over and how long it takes them to actually fall over? Imagine that taking even longer with the Pandorans after taking a Thanos punch with the Infinity Gauntlet on. But anyway, I can't help but feel like there might actually be a positive for this in that it will motivate James Cameron to do better with Avatar 2 and thereby making Disney even more money in the next go-around. Because like now there's like a little bit of family rivalry going on because like, oh, Kevin Feige, you got me, you one-upped me finally. Now I'm going to try to one-up you again. And this time I'll have an actual plot to my story as opposed to just special effects.
I mean, look,
I'm wondering if they get to $3 billion at one point.
Touche. But I will admit, if Avatar 2 comes out and actually does have a plot, and it's actually good, and we actually have characters that I can get behind, and it winds up beating Endgame, hey, no argument. No argument. Will it happen?
No.
Probably not.
Avatar 2 will be to Avatar what Alice Through the Looking Glass was to Alice in Wonderland, the 2010 version.
Ow!
Yeah, hot take. I think Avatar 2 is going to flop mightily.
Oh, I think it's going to bomb.
Well, and that's why I'm saying this, because the thing was, like, people were saying, oh no, Alice Through the Looking Glass will make so much money because the first one grossed over $1 billion, and because of that, a sequel will not drop under a certain percentage. What did it do? It hardly made any money. So I think the same thing will happen with Avatar 2.
Yeah, because the production budget is probably going to be like $350 million.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know how much it's going to make at the box office? I'm going to bet no more than 500.
Yep. So it barely makes its money back.
Exactly. And they'll just be like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to greenlight that separate Rian Johnson trilogy, and it's just going to be a Star Wars film back in December every year, as it should be.
Yes.
But, no. So yes, thanks to the technical difficulties. I actually am going to skip over a couple of things. But, Kees, you did actually bring up something that I am a little interested in, so I want to spend like 1 to 2 minutes on this real quick if we could. That being that... that story involving Lewis Hamilton. Would you mind getting into this a little bit?
Well, as you guys might know, I'm a big Formula One fan, and currently the biggest name in Formula One is Lewis Hamilton. He is on his way to break all the records that Michael Schumacher had, and if you guys know Michael Schumacher, well, then that was essentially the one who had all the records for Formula One, and Hamilton is currently on his way to get there. And he has been quite Hollywood himself. He has a very Hollywood lifestyle. Like he has appeared in movies, he goes to premieres and stuff like that. And for some reason, he's still able to focus and become world champion in Formula One. I don't know how he does that. But that's because in his lifestyle, he's really healthy. And he now wants to make a movie out of that. And apparently he has caught, he wants to produce that with people like James Cameron, who we were just talking about, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also, of course, because Arnold has a big history with being a bodybuilder. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see what he can do, because I know that last year when Hamilton became champion, he got out of his car after the race and he ran to his I don't know how you say it, but a person who essentially helped him with his eating, with his lifestyle.
Nutritionist.
Nutritionist, yeah.
Exactly. Because he had just hired her as his nutritionist to make sure that he could get there, and that is what made him that good and made him that healthy. So I'm interested to see how that goes, considering that he's now one of the most successful, if not the most successful, Formula One drivers in history. So yeah, that's what I brought up.
Can I just say I find it very interesting that you're bringing this up on the same week that I think the trailer for the sequel to the documentary Super Size Me was just released. I haven't seen the trailer myself, but yeah, there is a sequel to the documentary Super Size Me coming out, and the trailer just dropped this week. So this is an interesting contrast in timing and in topics.
Okay.
It was a massive documentary from 2004 where this guy literally ate McDonald's every single day for 30 days straight just to prove a point of how unhealthy fast food is. Yeah, and yeah,
3 times a day.
Yeah, every single meal
my God.
was McDonald's for a month, and dear Lord, that documentary is the reason that I go to McDonald's maybe once in a month if I'm super crammed for time and I can't get anything else as an option. But yeah, it's just boy.
I haven't gone to McDonald's in years.
Stay that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still go to Wendy's every now and then.
That's fair. Snaxx. Did with everything that we talked about, did anything there stick out to you in particular?
Not really. I mean, it's no shock that Hamilton and Schwarzenegger met a couple times at GP in Austria. Yeah, nice.
Yes, Austria, indeed.
At GP in Austria. So they know each other that way, and then as soon as James Cameron said he wanted to get involved in this, it was pretty much a done deal at that point. Hamilton just jumped right on board. I think it's probably going to be a good little documentary on that lifestyle. Not something that I personally would choose to do because I'm never going to give up my steaks.
Same.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, Hamilton is a vegan.
I will never give up ribs. You literally cannot force me. Or bacon. Yeah.
I will never give up bacon. That's not going to happen. Sorry.
Oh, I had a lot of meat this week, I can tell you that. A lot of protein.
Phrasing.
That's what she said. Hey-o! Welcome back, Nico. We missed you.
See, that's right. You didn't have me call your match, so you've never been on camera with me before.
Oh. Touche.
Here, wait.
Oh, no, it's let me pull back the curtain a little bit. The reason I didn't call Nico's match wasn't because I don't like him or wasn't. I was in the hospital. I wasn't able to take that match. Fortunately, Tyler was able to step up and fill in for me. Nothing serious, thankfully, at the end of the day, but that's why those 2 matches early in the season I wasn't able to take because I was in the hospital. So I owe you one for that. You will have me on the desk for your geek match. How about that?
Yes.
Hooray. And there will be a little counter on screen for every time I make an innuendo unintentionally.
If you want the graphics workers to work overtime, then
all right.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, Matt, you'll have fun with that one. Ooh,
oh, yes, they will. So, guys, what we're going to do real quick here, just to sort of make up for lost time, and because I want to give a little more time to the actual Comic-Con coverage and a little more time to our little discussion at the end, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. So please, guys, do not go anywhere. We'll see you back, hopefully. No problems in the second half, because if we do, I swear to God, I'll probably have an aneurysm on camera, and then I'll have to go to the hospital. So until then, we'll see you shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Hashtag China 6.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, finally. And again, hopefully, fingers crossed, no technical difficulties. Please. As we now move away from some of the regular news, because there were a couple of other things that I did want to talk about, but because, again, when you have technical difficulties and you want to keep someone on a timetable, you do what you gotta do. So let's move on to the stuff that, everybody, you want us to talk about. That is San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Dear God, it was a great effing weekend. It was a great weekend for Schmodown fans. It was a great weekend for Star Trek fans. It was a great weekend for Marvel fans. Was anybody unhappy with that weekend?
DC.
I think the main thing I'm upset about is that a lot of the panels that we wanted to see did not get live streamed.
Yeah, that was a bummer. But I think they were trying to do that just more so for the secrecy of it, and so that way they could really give it that feel of
exclusivity.
Yeah,
like you're there to see everything. Like it's not fair to you if you paid all that money to go see something, and then you can just watch it from home.
Yeah, Star Wars Celebration Comic-Con is not, and that.
Nope.
And that was actually one of the cool things I've always appreciated about Celebration is that they are always very happy to just show everything that's going on and be like, hey guys, take this in, enjoy it, and watch all these trailers with us.
Not always. They don't always publish all the trailers, but big trailers usually.
Yeah. And speaking of big trailers, we'll get there in just a second. But I want to start this off with one of the first pieces of news that we got from Comic-Con, which was Shang-Chi, the first MCU film to have an Asian actor in the leading role. It's not Christopher Sean, damn it, but hey. Yes, for all you Resistance fans, I would have loved that. And, by the way, I know that show's coming back in like 3 months. It's not soon enough, man.
Where's my trailer?
Where's my trailer? Where's my show? And most importantly, how is my ship holding up?
It's in space, going who knows where.
I was saying, Snaxx, you have to forgive me. In case you can't tell, I'm a shipper. Hell, this is how bad it's gotten. So, a couple of my coworkers at work decided to start sort of pressuring me to check out the reboot of DuckTales because they also had a big trailer that dropped during Comic-Con. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll watch a couple episodes. I love the reboot. It's great. B, I already have a ship. Something's wrong with me.
Okay, Shang-Chi.
Seek professional help.
Yes, I should. Shang-Chi, yes. Let's talk about Shang-Chi, where it's been revealed that we are actually for the first time, quote-unquote first time in MCU history, we are actually going to get the real Mandarin. How perfect. And so the full title is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So that means we're really doing this storyline where it's not just, and don't get me wrong, I liked what Ben Kingsley did in Iron Man 3, but
The Mandarin, it was not.
No.
So this was teased in one of the old one-shots that they used to do, the Hail to the King one-shot, to be more specifically, where Trevor Slattery is in jail, and, he's still got that street cred from when he was pretending to be the Mandarin, and then all of a sudden, the actual goons of the Ten Rings take him, and we haven't seen him since, and that's when we find out there is an actual Mandarin out there somewhere, and he is pissed, and he wants and now we actually get to see the real story of the Mandarin of The Legend of the Ten Rings, and now the protagonist of the film, Shang-Chi. Like, this is the MCU. This is the MCU if you don't count Iron Fist, which I guess now we can't really count the Netflix stuff. But this is their first endeavor into a martial arts film, and I like that, and I'm excited for it. Plus, it's great that they're kind of like, this is indirectly a sequel to both Iron Man and Iron Man 3. So
Yeah.
like you have existing lore to build off of, and it's also a nice reminder that a lot of the stuff that you thought, oh, Kevin Feige just forgot about, and we haven't gotten back to it since. No, he did not forget about it at all. This is a sign of it, that they were just waiting for the right moment to go back to that and then build off of that story.
Hell yeah. Snaxx, as a fan of the MCU, what are your thoughts on A, Shang-Chi, and B, finally getting the real Mandarin?
Well, I do want to point out this movie is coming out on my birthday in the year 2021.
Hey!
Nice.
February 12th, 2021. That's my birthday. It'll be coming out that day. In case anyone was wondering when it's coming out, it was announced. I don't know how, if this is, I have to see the movie to see whether it feels like that really never happened in Iron Man 3, or it happened, but here's what really happened, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it does.
Fair enough.
Is it a soft reboot? Is it just an extension of? It's one of those things where I might have to watch the movie to figure out how I feel about it, because I have no idea what the comic book. I don't read comic books. I'm sorry, shoot me. You know, Nico's going to disown me now for that alone.
No, in fairness to you, I don't really know a lot about the Shang-Chi lore either, but that's kind of why I'm excited. Is like, we saw what they did with Guardians. Like, Guardians were like Z-list characters, and now they're like right at the A-list, with Avengers being now double A-list. So, like, Shang-Chi, he's definitely not a Z-list character, but he's definitely not well known, and this can bring him into the forefront and make him a well-known character and possibly a future Avenger, depending on what happens in Phase 5. Like, there's a lot of ground to cover.
Well, you did bring up not very well-known comic book characters, which I think that's going to lead us into our next story, isn't it, Chris?
It will once I get Case's thoughts, but no, finish your thought there before I throw it to Case. Snaxx.
Oh no, it's just
Okay.
that is going to segue after you're done with Case. It's going to lead us into our next story.
It absolutely will. In Case, what are your thoughts on the first possible kung fu style Marvel movie?
Well, that sounds cool. And more so because of what Nico said, I have seen that one shot that they did, and I was like, what is it? What does this mean? Like, are we going to see the real Mandarin? And we are. Thank God that they haven't forgotten about it, because ever since I was like, well, back when I saw it, I was very intrigued, and I kind of forgot about it. And it's like, now that you're reminding me, I'm like, oh, right, that's true. I'm intrigued. I want to see it, of course. I mean, I'm going to see every MCU movie because I'm a Marvel shill. What do you think?
Yes. And speaking of speaking of being Marvel shills, which, you know what, at this point I can just about say I am. Even though, sure, do I love every single film they put out? No. But do I need to? No, because the shit that I like, I really do love. You know, and speaking of shit that I just love, Can we just give Marvel a round of applause for what great fucking casting they picked as the new Blade? How can you possibly get better than two-time Oscar-winning Mahershala Ali cast in Blade? I don't care if you're gonna make this movie PG-13. He doesn't have to drop the F-bomb. I don't care about that. You have one of the best actors of this current generation as one of the most badass motherfuckers in existence. Shut up and take my money.
Just wanted to point out.
Prowler's Blade. And I'm 100% down with that. Case, what are your thoughts on Mahershala Ali taking over for Wesley Snipes?
Hell yes. I'm not a big fan of the Wesley Snipes one. Sue me. Mostly because I think that the effects are dated as all hell.
Oh, they are.
And I'm just not the biggest fan of how those movies were done. I don't know. They're in my opinion too dated to watch. So I know that Blade in the MCU is in very good hands. They know how to do that character right. And seriously, Mahershala Ali is like the best actor or one of the best actors of the 2010s. So hell yes.
Snaxx, you share that? You share those sentiments?
I honestly thought about that.
Yes. Okay, I can get on board with that.
From the category of Marvel movies, in the movie Blade, what is the name of the vampire librarian?
Oh, son of a
I don't know and I don't care.
bitch. Nope, I'm not gonna pull it.
Well,
I'm
I'm rewatching Blade.
Same.
We're looking for Pearl.
Damn you, Pearl. Go back to making crusty crabs for your old man, or Krabby Patties.
I don't know. Go back to taking money from your dad.
In serious answer to your question is yes, please take my money. I cannot wait to see Mahershala Ali play this part. I think he's going to do it justice. I think he's going to pay homage to the Wesley Snipes part of the character, but it will definitely be his own, and I think he's going to do it right.
Absolutely. Nico, how excited are you for this?
Very. For one, Mahershala Ali, he already has experience playing two different Marvel characters already, and he killed it in both of them. Like, he played Cottonmouth in the Luke Cage series, and he was arguably the best part of Season 1, so much so that when they killed him off in Season 1, that it took a gigantic drop in the second half of that season. And he also played Prowler in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and again, he was great. You felt it when he died in that too, and now he's taking over as Blade. And I know the big concern out of a lot of people is it's not going to be rated R. It's going to be an MCU PG-13. But I must remind everybody that with the PG-13 rating, the MCU literally wiped out half of its universal population.
I saw that argument that you made. There is a huge difference between the fact that you do it and how you do it. Because how they did it was they went up into dust. In Blade, you want to see blood and gore. That's where people have issue with it. Because, yes, you can kill off I don't know how many people, but Guardians of the Galaxy also did that. They also killed a whole lot of people, but we don't really see it. We don't see blood. We don't see limbs. We don't see the stuff like we saw in the original Blade movie, where it is very bloody.
Well, and to be fair, when you talk about the bloodiness of the original Blade, people mostly only refer to the rave scene at the opening of the film, which, yeah, sure, you have the sprinklers are filled with blood, and that's how it spills all over the place. But when the vampires actually die, they just sort of disintegrate. Because, when you stab them with a stake through the heart, that's what vampires do. They just...
And also, you mentioned the blood. Remember, a lot of the special effects that involve the blood were those special effects that you consider to be outdated. So
yeah, but update that. Make it look good in this movie.
Yeah. Sorry, Snaxx, you had another point?
No, I was just going to say, speaking of all the blood and guts and everything, the end scene was pretty bloody if you stop and think about it.
Yeah,
Looked
I guess.
terrible, though.
Yeah, because Deacon Frost just kind of evaporates into
he just kind of went everywhere.
Now, could I just get some clarification? Was he confirmed for a movie, or
yes.
Or because I didn't hear them say movie or TV series, but granted they were including Disney Plus stuff in that Phase 4 announcement. So that's the part that made me think: are they leaving it open ended for maybe they might want to do a TV series instead of a movie? Because I didn't hear the word movie mentioned. I just heard the word Blade on his hat. And that was the announcement.
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
I was reading through the article that you sent me to study for this, and apparently, Mr. Ali decided to call Kevin Feige himself and go, "I want to be Blade," and Kevin Feige went, "Okay."
So I mean, and to be honest, if it's a little bit of both, what's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it, but not many people call up Kevin Feige and say, "I want to do this," and Kevin goes, "Okay."
If Mahershala Ali wants to star in your movie, you say yes.
You say yes.
You say yes.
And you just say okay, and that will be the end of it. Which is also kind of my feelings on the idea of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which will be set for the fall of 2021 and sort of pitch itself as the MCU's first horror film, which, if you guys know my taste in movies, oh, now this is going to be the kind of Doctor Strange I can 100% get behind. Don't get me wrong, I do like the original. I really do. Is it in my top 10? It's like number 10, number 11, something like that. Do I still like the movie? Of course. But if you put a twist on it where I'm really going to dig how it's going to maybe get into some darker themes and we're possibly going to really open up the multiverse, yes. Sorry, I'm done fanboying out here. Nico, take over for a second.
Okay, so the interesting thing about this movie is that it also directly ties into the WandaVision series on Disney Plus that's also coming out, and Elizabeth Olsen will be starring in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And so Zad and I were talking a lot about this on our final episode of Crisis on Earth Plex, which aired this week. And we yes, R.I.P. And we theorized a lot about how things could play out. And one of the things that came to mind was Nightmare, who you may remember as the villain of the Ghost Rider movie that Nicolas Cage was in. We feel like that character might have a role to play in whatever. In Wanda is probably still upset about Vision having died at the hands of Thanos, and so in her series, she sort of sets herself in this mindset, possibly with the aid of Nightmare, and creates this multiverse of madness that Doctor Strange in his movie has to fix. And by the way, you know how there's the House of M storyline in which Wanda wipes out all the mutants? Zad and I theorized that this could actually be the catalyst that helps jumpstart the X gene and leads to the creation of mutants in the MCU.
Oh. Interesting.
I love this. Now, Kees, tell us why this all sounds stupid.
Why would I say that? I love Doctor Strange. I mean, that first movie is great, and it's growing on me. Every single time I watch it, I think it's better. It's a very good setup for the character, and then how we've seen him in the Avengers movies, even better. And I cannot wait to revisit his character because it is a very interesting character that we just don't know that much about yet, and I cannot wait to find out more. And I think, look, despite the fact that it has the title of a horror movie, if Scarlet Witch is in this and Doctor Strange is in this, I'll probably like it, regardless of the tone, because horror is really just the tone that they're going with. It's still going to be an MCU movie. It's still going to be a comic book movie for me to enjoy. And I played the Lego Marvel Superheroes game from 2013, where actually, like, there are a couple of levels with Doctor Strange where it is kind of unsettling and horror-like in a creepy house and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, that would totally work for the character, I think. So I'm looking forward to this. Of course I am. It's Marvel. I'm a Marvel show.
I'm
And Snaxx?
not sure on this one, to be honest with you. I'm not the biggest horror film fan.
Tongue twister right there.
Hey, man, you think I'm a professional broadcaster, I should be able to speak, right?
We all have our off days.
Christ. I'm not the biggest horror film fan, so I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. I haven't wrapped my head around. Let me see the trailer and then I'll get back to you. How's that?
Sounds like a plan. And speaking of that, that's kind of my thoughts on when I also looked at that panel and I saw a very familiar face who we all noticed technically wasn't really in Avengers Endgame, but they had some backup footage of this actress and they put her in that way. But for Thor, there you go. So yeah, here's another tongue twister for you. For Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder, once again directed by Taika Waititi, we will see the return of Natalie Portman.
Sorry.
This time, though, not as Jane Foster, oddly enough. This time as female Thor / Lady Thor.
The mighty Thor.
Yeah, Nico.
Now I have a question. Is it a different character?
No.
Nico, explain this.
Okay, so the mighty Thor storyline in the comics was Jane Foster suffered from cancer. And while this was happening, Nick Fury whispered something in Thor's ear that made him unworthy of Mjolnir. Jane Foster somehow became worthy at that point in time, and she gained the power of Mjolnir. Now, the thing about this was every time she used Mjolnir and every time she turned into Thor, it erased all of her chemotherapy, and so therefore the cancer kept killing her. Now, there is precedent for something similar to happen in Taika Waititi's movie in that we don't know what happened to Jane Foster after the ether, or rather the the powers? No, not the powers.
Yeah, it is the ether.
The reality stone. I meant to say the reality stone. I was thinking of the wrong stone, but the reality stone. After it was taken out of her, we don't know how it affected her body. So, for all we know, she could possibly be suffering from some sort of ailment. And as Thor, at this point in time, he's still pretty messed up. Like, he just handed over New Asgard to Valkyrie to rule as king, while he's off partying with the Guardians. Last we saw him, and he's trying to work some shit out. So he's probably no longer worthy of maybe Stormbreaker, and possibly Natalie Portman, or Jane Foster in this case, somehow becomes worthy of Stormbreaker, becoming the new Thor. Now, now they also mentioned Valkyrie is a king looking for her queen. I don't know if Jane Foster Thor will be that queen that Valkyrie is looking for. I would much rather honestly see Valkyrie or King Valkyrie start a relationship with Darcy, with that character.
No, not Kat Dennings. Kat Dennings needs to stay as far away from this universe as possible.
Yeah, I'm in agreement on that one. Although, okay, since you're onto that little bit of a tangent, what were your thoughts on that first half of what he was talking about?
Okay, there's an idea here, for sure. My only issue is that it's Natalie Portman in a big blockbuster. That doesn't work. Really.
Outside of V for Vendetta, not really.
It's just not that big of a blockbuster to begin with. So she is not really usually good in these type of movies, and she is really not good in those Thor movies.
But listen,
no, let me finish. The first one is fine. The second one is she's just terrible. But the thing is, that was under different directors. Like with Kenneth Branagh, she managed. With Alan Taylor, who just, I don't know what happened there. But I know that Taika Waititi, who's definitely directing it, could get a good performance out of her. I know that he can work with her and make sure that this can actually work. So there I'm interested because, I said this when we talked about the moment that it was announced that Taika Waititi was going to direct Thor 4. Like, yes, all the yes. Doesn't matter what you do, just yes. Because he made Ragnarok and it's just so great. And I know he knows the character, loves the character of Thor, and he knows the comic book. So I know he can do a good job with that. So in that regard, yes, I'm looking forward to what he can do with it. I'm just slightly cautious because it's, those first two Thor movies.
And that's why I'm actually confident, because it's Taika Waititi doing the directing and also having a role in the writing. And so he knows, he wants to make sure Natalie Portman has a happy experience given that. She got super excited about Patty Jenkins directing Thor: The Dark World, and then Alan Taylor comes in and she completely crushes her dreams. And she's like, well, why am I here? The one thing you had that was keeping me here is no longer here, so I'm just going to phone it in. But obviously, something had to have happened to make her want to come back, and I'm guessing it's that Taika Waititi told her, we're going to do this with you. Here's the script. She loved it, and she loves the idea of having this comeback performance with this role.
Well, let's hope that she can break the cycle. Snaxx? Okay. Fair enough. And one last bit of some Marvel stuff where it's just simply there's two sequels that got announced that are big shock. No shit, Sherlocks. That being Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2. If we have any thoughts about that, we'll get to that. But let's talk about the big one. The big Mac out of that trio in that last story in relations to Marvel. Fantastic Four announced. Not necessarily given a solid release date. We still don't have a director or cast list or writers. But that said, is it time to finally do this? Nico, since Kees and Snaxx look like they were writing down some smart-ass answers, I can't wait to see them, and I can't wait for you guys to hear me say them out loud. Nico, talk to me.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. Kevin Feige said, yeah, these are going to come, but they weren't really confirmed for Phase 5. They weren't even confirmed for Phase 6. He just said, we have a plan, stay tuned, which means we might get an announcement at D23 for those movies. What was confirmed was the Black Widow movie, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, Marvel's What If, the Loki series, and Marvel's The Eternals, which we've been talking about on and off for the past couple months. But in regards to the Fantastic Four, it does feel like enough time has passed since the Josh Trank, but not really Josh Trank rendition of the film.
The Fox rendition of the film.
Yeah, it feels like enough time has passed that we can give it another try. What the execution will be, I'm not entirely sure. Now, you could probably use Black Panther 2 as a jumpstart for it, simply because Black Panther actually got his start in the Fantastic Four comics, so it'd be sort of like poetic justice to have the Fantastic Four in the MCU start within the Black Panther franchise. Again, how you do that is kind of up in the air, but it would be nice poetic. It would be a nice bit of poetry to do it that way. Now, as for the villain, we've seen Doctor Doom tried over and over and over again, and it feels like he's a character that you should save for maybe the third movie in a trilogy. So my thinking would probably be go with someone who you think is ridiculous and then make that ridiculous character serious, such as maybe the Mole Man.
Well, and another idea I've seen floating around is the idea of introducing, well, first off, Victoria Doom, but introduce her as an ally first, and have her be an ally for like a movie and a half, have her sort of fall from grace in that second film, and then have her be the true villain of that third film. If you wanted to go the trilogy route, that's how you could do that. At least that was what the idea proposed. But Snaxx, you look like you've tried to avoid those shit boxes from the past.
For the most part, I've been able to avoid those fart boxes, as you said. I think the casting is going to be the key to a reboot on this. They're going to have to cast it right. I think that was one of the big issues they had with the Fantastic Four they put out before. The casting just felt off. Nobody felt like they were meant for that part, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it can be a fairly generic story for the first movie, an origin story pretty much, but they've got to cast it right. And that's one thing the MCU has done, is they've cast very well. So I have faith that they'll cast it well. I just hope they cast Keanu in one of the roles.
The thing.
Everyone's fan casting has been
fine.
Everyone's fan casting has been put John Krasinski in as Mr. Fantastic.
Ooh, not bad.
I like that.
I can get my head around that, yeah.
Wait, and then have
Well,
Emily
the
Blunt
third
play.
Then, have Emily Blunt
Emily
as,
Blunt be
Yes.
the Invisible Woman.
Yes,
as Sue
because
Storm,
then
yeah.
Then you have the real life husband and wife dynamic going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I can probably live with that.
Yeah, maybe, and then maybe for like, maybe for Johnny Storm, maybe get that sort of Taron Egerton,
Yes.
Ansel Elgort, just so you can really capture that young, hotshot, brash attitude. And then maybe for the Thing.
Ben Grimm, you got to go with someone who's got a good heart, but underneath all that, underneath that bigger frame. So maybe go with like an unknown quantity. Like maybe go with a professional wrestler who hasn't had a big acting role yet.
No,
What if you cast The Rock?
I knew you were gonna go there.
Yes.
No. I was actually thinking Big E Langston of the New Day.
Now, I do want to point out something. Our friend Robert Adams of the Cinefanatics is over in the chat.
Yes.
Says, I recommend introducing the Silver Surfer Norrin Rad first, and then we get introduced to the Fantastic Four through his eyes when he travels to Earth.
I could get behind that. I could get behind that.
Just don't do Galactus too soon. You want to save that.
Oh, dear God, yes.
And for Silver Surfer, can we maybe get Michael Rosenbaum, best known for Lex Luthor in
Not
Smallville?
Fassbender? I thought everybody wanted Fassbender.
Yeah, you do Fassbender. That's perfect casting right there. And Case, what are your thoughts on Fantastic Four?
Well, I just wrote it down.
Well,
there are only 2 movies that have been good Fantastic Four movies, and they're not Fantastic Four movies. They're The Incredibles. Who wrote and directed those movies? Brad Bird. He knows how to do that. He has clearly shown that he knows, first of all, how to do a superhero team-up movie. Second of all, he does know live action. Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. So it shows he can do that, and I think he would be the right one to both write and direct a Fantastic Four movie. Where yes, with the casting, yes, Marvel has been acing that because the one rule is they love their heroes. They know how to cast their heroes. They've had issues with their villains in the past, but at least the heroes are good. So I know that, like, that's the thing with the Fantastic Four. If you do one, they're probably going to have a one-and-done villain anyway because it's the origin of the Fantastic Four, and you want to get that right. Just make sure you get the origin of the Fantastic Four right. I don't give 2 shits about the villain. Just make sure you get it right this time because we've been burned on that too much. And I'm okay with the Tim Story ones. I think they're fine. Then again, whoever thought that Jessica Alba was a good actress, I don't know who you are. But Chris Evans as Johnny Storm was good in that one, at least.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, we just haven't had a good one except for the Incredibles movies. And actually, the second one was also really good. So please, get Brad Bird on that project.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And actually, I believe that. Yeah, please.
Can I propose a question?
Yo.
So, is there anything that you want to see in Phase 5 that maybe gets announced at D23 that you we've gotten our Phase 4 announcements, and so that's why I'm thinking Phase 5 is where we're going to get the Fantastic Four and the Black Panther 2 and the Captain Marvel 2 and whatnot. Otherwise, Kevin Feige would have announced it this past weekend. If not, that's why I think he's saving the Phase 5 stuff for D23. And that's why it looks like Phase 4 is only going to be 2 years long. Now, within the next 5 years, is there anything you want to see that hasn't been announced yet that we haven't even really thought about yet?
Galactus.
No, you save that. Galactus would be too soon. I think Galactus would be the next Thanos.
For Phase 5? Like, introduce him in Phase 5?
Okay, maybe introduce him, but you want to save him, I think, like Thanos, to be this huge villain that they're going to have to fight, that is going to be, they're going to be building up
Actually,
to.
yeah,
So,
I rescind my answer, actually, because I will say probably do Kang the Conqueror.
So you set up Galactus all the way through season, or whatever it is, this fourth era of MCU. You set him up during this whole Phase 4 setup to bring him into Phase 5 as the big baddie.
Yeah.
Okay. From me, and Case might laugh at this when I say it, but you might not realize this, but Conan the Barbarian is a Marvel property now. He is a comic book character in Marvel Comics now. And so what I'm thinking is you need to make the Earth stuff a little bit interesting. So why not have Conan the Barbarian exploring the Savage Land?
Okay, that's where I'm going to laugh at. I remember that answer.
Oh,
good.
Boy.
But by the way, what I want to see in Phase 5 is the next Avengers movie, where Spider-Man is going to be leading the Avengers along with Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, those type of people.
Yeah.
I can see that too. Yeah.
I would be very happy to see that because, well, as you know, for all of what I thought of Far From Home as being just fine, I think the one element it actually got like really good was the fact that it was trying to set up Peter to be the next Tony Stark.
And the mid-credit scene. That mid-credit scene blew my fucking mind.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, that was more so because of a certain bald guy wearing a beautiful mustache.
That also.
But, you know, and speaking of things that just blew my goddamn effing mind, before we hit our last little conversation here, let's fanboy. Let's fanboy about space, the final frontier. Picard trailer kicked my ass. It was great. And 7 of 9!
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
Well,
Who cares?
for a trailer.
Yeah, who cares? Snaxx, as a fellow massive Star Trek fan, talk to me about this Picard trailer.
This Picard trailer starts off, and I mean, if you're any kind of a Star Trek fan and you're familiar with the Next Generation series and the Next Generation films, it hits you right dead in the feels from jump. Because the first thing it shows is the Picard winery. Chateau Picard. And I mean, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. And it shows Jean-Luc walking in and knowing what happened to Robert and Renee in the fire, and there are no more Picards after Jean-Luc, or so we're being led to believe up till now. Will that change? The mystery person who's in the trailer, who is she? We don't know. There are other things that have come out since the trailer was released. Obviously, 7 of 9 was in the trailer. Obviously, Brent Spiner as Data was in the trailer. It's also come out now that Maria Sirtis and Jonathan Frakes are going to be back.
Wow.
So we're going to get the Rikers in the new Picard series as well, which makes me wonder who else is going to show up. Is it going to be limited to the Next Generation folks, or are we going to get somebody like Robert Picardo as the Doctor? Because Admiral Janeway is obviously going to be in there in some capacity, right?
Oh yeah, because she's still alive at this point. So
yeah, you know, who else is going to cross over from the series and the movies? I'm not a fan of the Discovery series. I've tried watching it; it's just not my thing. I'm not going to bash on it. Those who love it, good on you. I'm glad you like it. This series I will watch, and I haven't been excited for a series since Voyager.
Yeah.
So
now, and it's funny to bring that up because, like, as soon as we start off on the winery, I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, so we're sort of going to. I feel like I almost feel like the show is going to sort of be like a quote unquote happier version of Logan. At least that was sort of the vibe that I got from it. Where it's, you know, obviously we're seeing Picard, you know, towards the end of his time. You know, he's way past his prime, and he just wants to now settle down. But no, adventure comes a calling one last time. This is one last rodeo that he needs to get on, and I got nothing but fun from this trailer. This trailer looks absolutely fun, and I can tell I'm gonna have a blast with this. Now,
that's
Nico,
just the way that Jerry Ryan comes in at the end and just, Picard, what are you doing? Trying to save the galaxy?
Exactly. It's just
so it's so not 7 of 9.
Yeah, that's kind of why. Well, and that's why I love it. That's why I think I'm gonna love her because, like, as when she first was introduced, yeah, she was still very Borg-like, but we saw through Voyager she was losing those layers, and her humanity was coming back to her. So I want to see how much has she grown as a person. I'm really curious.
I got to tell you, one of my favorite Voyager episodes is her and the Doctor singing "You Are My Sunshine."
Oh my God, yes!
One of the best Star Trek episodes ever of any of the series.
Yeah.
Because it showed not only the humanity of 7 of 9, but the humanity of the Doctor as well, even though he was a hologram. Because that showed how much he really loved 7 of 9.
And it's partially why I wish that, he would be fully sentient and would be outside of his own body. Because, again, shameless shipper, folks. I don't care. But no, but Nico, did you get a chance to check out the Picard trailer before we hit the show?
I did. Now, I will say I did not understand every single Easter egg in that trailer.
Fair
but
enough.
I did recently finally cover all of the Star Trek movies. So, which includes the ones with Picard. And I can say for certain, Picard is a better captain, in my opinion, than Kirk. I can have my opinion, can I not?
Yes. You have no television context, but yes, fair enough.
And, I just love Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart is a great actor. And I'm curious, and even at the age that he's currently at, like, he's still delivering great quality content in everything you put him in. Like, whether it be the show on Stars that he did, or whether it be another episode of American Dad where he plays Director Bullock. He knows how to kill it. So the main thing is that's keeping me from watching this show is it's on CBS All Access. And listen, we're in the age of the streaming wars. Disney Plus is about to go to war with their big cannons. They've also got Hulu in their back pocket and ESPN Plus. And then you throw in Netflix is still in the game. And you've got the wrestling stuff. You've got the MMA streaming services. There's just so much to cover here. And, like, where can I fit in CBS All Access to this? Why is Snaxx looking at me like I just burned a cross?
You all right?
This is something, we'll get into this when we're done with this conversation.
All right, fair enough. Now, right before I was about to throw it to Kees, looks like he had to step out for a second. Maybe I'll get him on the when he comes back. Like I said, guys, I'm excited. Star Trek: The Next Generation is literally my second favorite show of all time. I adore this franchise. I adore this series. And, of course, I adore the character of Jean-Luc Picard. Because he is, at least for me, a prime example of what humanity could, should, and can be. So naturally, yeah.
You and I should do a trailer breakdown of that.
Ooh. That'd be fun.
We should do a trailer breakdown of the Picard trailer.
That'd be fun. I think we should. But no, Kees, did you have any thoughts about the Picard trailer for yourself?
No, because I didn't see it, and I need to, I purposely didn't see it because I want to watch The Next Generation first before I watch Picard. And I've seen season 1, so I'm on my way of watching The Next Generation,
Okay.
but yeah, it's just an investment.
No, I completely respect that. So then, I think that pretty much does it as far as the news coverage of Comic-Con and all the big stuff that, the movie nerds like us really care about. But is it, though? Because something's been going on in the online world.
No, a lot of things are going on in that regard.
Before we dive into that, can I show you why I looked like I was looking at Nico running across?
Yeah, please do.
Somebody sent me a headline. Rule of two from our friend Mark Riley. Business Times, a headline in our entertainment section. Star Wars 9 might reveal Kylo Ren as the true Skywalker and not Rey.
Oh, he is.
Which is why I made this face.
So, in other words, yeah, let's see here. Related to, he's the grandson of Darth frickin' Vader.
He is the Skywalker.
What?
That's why I made that face, Nico, okay? Make
What?
sense now?
No, it's Snaxx, thank you for telling me that, because you know what? Okay, fuck it. I don't fucking care. What? People, you really need to make sure you're not clicking dumb. You're not typing up dumb clickbait headlines. That you're not just typing up dumbass articles. So that way you think, oh well, if we type a thing about Star Wars, we could get likes on our page. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Dear Jesus!
And I also have to point out that Jonathan Peck has pointed out 3 times now, we didn't talk about the Dark Crystal.
I have not seen the original film in almost 20 years. I've not seen the trailer. Sorry, Jonathan.
I'm interested in the series, though. I'm interested in it. I'll say
fun.
that much.
I am too. Okay, now back to our originally scheduled programming.
Yeah, and now back to, well, having a love. Speaking of Rule of Two and Star Wars. And Snaxx, you and I got to talk about this with the Marcus Yodius Rylis about this for a little bit last night. As patrons of the Riley Roundtable are able to do. And they brought up something this week on Rule of Two that, granted, this is not likely to happen, but simultaneously, I'm starting to see some evidence that points towards it, and it scares me. Now, the theory is that in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, somehow, the world between worlds, as we first discovered in the Season 4 episode of Star Wars Rebels, which is a great episode, you guys should seriously watch the show just for that episode, it's fantastic. But that the climax of the movie will be revolving around using said world between worlds to either travel from the past into the current or travel from the current into the past to essentially resolve the Emperor Palpatine storyline. I'm gonna get this. You know what? Actually, no. Kees.
Yeah,
you did agree to play devil's advocate for this, and I thank you.
No,
You're a brave soul.
I do want to first explain for the audience members who have no clue what the world between worlds is because they haven't seen Star Wars Rebels. In Star Wars Rebels, towards the end of the show, the protagonist Ezra. Throughout the show, Ezra is from the planet of Lothal, and there is a Jedi temple there, which essentially introduces us to Jedi temples and what they could be. And at the end of the show, it seems that a Jedi temple, in this case, is a pathway to the world between worlds. It's a space where he ends up, and it's a pathway between space and time. Time stops. You can get to any place at any time if you're there. At least that's what Ezra does. That's how he also manages to save Ahsoka from the moment where she is facing Vader at the end of Season 2 of Rebels, and that's how she actually manages to survive that encounter, because she was, I think, about to kill herself just before Ezra pulls her back. So that introduces us to a place in Star Wars that is, time and space are not a thing there. And that makes sure that there might be a way that the Emperor could travel to the time of the events of the Rise of Skywalker, Jesus Christ, or another way around, where Rey finds a Jedi temple, which she's might be looking for in the next movie, and go back to the time, maybe stop the Emperor. That's also a theory. Now Chris left. So
well, he's absent. I can tell you the plot or my guess at what the plot of the Episode 9 is, based solely on the one trailer that we saw at Celebration. Mm-hmm. Is we saw the shot, the opening desert shot, and to me that says it's probably Jakku, because
why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
We know that from other canon pieces that there was Sith experiments going on Jakku with the Emperor, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's in the Aftermath trilogy.
Rey has to go back to Jakku to search for whatever it was the Emperor was looking for, and whatever she finds there on Jakku is what leads her to the remains of the second Death Star on Endor.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the basic plot of how I feel the movie's going to be going. So how would that tie into this world between worlds that you're speaking of?
Well, no, it's more because of the fact that at the end of the trailer we hear the Emperor laugh and a lot of people are like wondering, how does the Emperor come into the picture, period. And that's where some people think that they need to do time travel to get him back into the picture. Either the Emperor uses the world between worlds to time travel to the current events, or the other way around, where the characters of the current movies go back.
Okay, I can get that. And the other half of my theory is the Emperor himself is not actually present. One of the old EU novels, Leia was in orbit around Endor and crosses a spot where the Emperor actually died and feels his presence. And that's what I think this is more of. The Emperor Palpatine is going to be more of a presence than an actual core person. He's not going to be a real person. It's going to be his presence, though.
Yeah.
We have Force ghosts on the light side, but the dark side, we've never seen a quote-unquote dark side Force ghost.
Anakin.
We have encountered their presences.
Darth Bane.
Exar Kun,
Force
Emperor
hauntings.
Palpatine.
Force hauntings.
Force hauntings, however you want to phrase it. We've encountered these dark side presences. The tree on Dagobah. So it's going to be, for me, it's probably going to be more of a presence than an actual person.
And yeah, sorry guys, I had to step out because my mother was calling from Kees' side of the world. So yeah, right now she's in Estonia. Yeah.
She's an hour ahead of me then.
She's right next to Latvia.
Yes.
Yeah. So and she just couldn't sleep last night. She decided to give me a call. Yay. Now, and the thing with this whole Palpatine theory is, or like how Palpatine essentially become. Palpatine theories are the new Snoke theories.
Yeah. Well, that's because this trailer has a Palpatine laugh at the end, and everyone is just wondering how he'll come back, in what form he'll come back, and
yeah. And sure, in that regard, like, if he does actually like physically come back at all in any capacity, it's through cloning, because it's the only way to me that makes sense.
Which Legends did, and it sucks.
I really like that run.
Yes, the comic book, he did come back as a clone. Luke was also a clone in the comics. Luke.
Yeah, and that part of it I didn't like, but I did like the idea of Luke, willingly giving into the dark side just to fully understand both sides of the Force, and that's why he had to do under Palpatine's tutelage. But that's neither here nor there.
Did it? Why not Luke, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's why Mace Windu was one of the most powerful Force users of all time. But my thing is, I don't care if you're, however you plan to use it. In my opinion, in the franchise anyway, it's way too late in the saga to even attempt to introduce the world between worlds.
Look, it's kind of the same.
We talked to Riley about it. He agreed last night that please don't.
It's kind of the same argument as bringing Maul back into Solo. It's just even worse because this is the thing that was completely in the TV shows rather than something that we already know from the movies. And they brought Maul back in Solo. How did they do that? For the people who haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels, they have no clue. And believe me, there are still a whole lot of people who watch the Star Wars movies, however. Yeah, they're like, what am I seeing? This is even worse, in my opinion.
But the difference is, at least with Maul, it was a super brief moment, and B, you could tell that they were going to get further into this with a second film if
that ever gets made.
Yeah, and sadly, I doubt it will. Maybe if we're lucky, like a limited series on Disney Plus, please, because I actually liked a lot of the cast. But but here's the other difference too. You're talking about the revival of one character versus bringing in a new concept that completely f's up the reality of the Star Wars universe.
Okay, I don't think that's the case, and here's why I'm playing devil's advocate, because as I said in the show on Lothal, Ezra goes to the temple several times, I believe 3 times in total. In season 1, he goes there to get his kyber crystal for his lightsaber. Who does he meet in that temple? Yoda. That means that maybe Yoda also has a way of accessing at least Jedi temples. And considering Yoda is still a Force ghost, I'm thinking the fact that Yoda knows about the Jedi temple, knows about Ezra and how he did that, maybe they contacted each other about that, and then Yoda can tell that to Rey, explain that, and not just to Rey, also to the audience who doesn't know the world between worlds thing, because yes, it is something that is introduced in Rebels, but you can't expect people to know that because not a lot of people have seen Rebels. But if you can have Yoda or Luke or any of the characters that we do know from the movies explain it in the movie, introduce it that way, and there are essentially two ways that this can go. Either Rey can then try to access it, fuck shit up, that makes the Emperor come in and oh shit, we fucked up. Or the other way, where we already know from the World Between Worlds episode that the Emperor has access to it, not on Lothal. He was already in the World Between Worlds in that episode, and he's not on Lothal. He has another way to access it. That may mean that he accesses it then and uses it to go into the future. I think that's possible, and that way I do think you could do it in a movie with Yoda. I'm still not a fan of it, though. I still think this just stick to Rebels with this, please, but it is possible.
I'll give you the answer that we received last night. Had they started introducing it in The Force Awakens as a concept and then expanded on it in The Last Jedi, they probably could have gotten away with it in Rise of Skywalker. It's not something you can just jam in there in the last movie and go, oh, by the way, we're going to do this. I mean, it's a lot less malleable than Force Skype or Force projection that we got in Last Jedi. Those we kind of went, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You do something like this World Between the Worlds, everybody's going to go, what?
And to take a page from the MCU, which we just finished talking about, the Infinity Saga, they slowly introduced one stone in one movie and then another stone in another movie, and they waited till like the very last stone for Infinity War itself. So like they took their time building up these Infinity Stones because they knew if we just show all of them at once, including this glove that controls all of them, there's going to be a very confused audience going like, where did all these come from? And Kees is right to point out that, you know, as much as we wish the audience was bigger for the TV series, that not everyone who watches these movies has been watching the cartoons. And so like they're not going to know where did this come from.
You should, by the way.
And besides, time travel is super messy. And you got it.
We're gonna leave time travel to Star Trek. They've got it down pat, all right? Let's let Star Trek do time travel. Let's not get it involved in Star Wars.
No, but technically they're already introducing Star Wars with that episode. In a way, it's not exactly time travel, but it's somewhat it. But in a fantasy way, not in the way that like Star Trek has a scientific way of explaining it. Star Wars has a complete fantasy way, and I think that's a good explanation for it.
And yeah, how they explain it again is great, and that's what makes that episode great in the first place. But it really just comes. But it also feels kind of cheap in terms of how to resolve this conflict.
It's cheap.
Because yeah, sure, it's kind of like why we don't have time travel for everyday use in today's world. Because yeah, if you had time travel, would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler?
Deadpool was trying to do that.
Seriously, I just found that out the other day, guys. That's amazing. But you know, if you could go back to a younger Sheev Palpatine, played by Matt Smith, would you kill him? But this isn't the time to be showing that. This isn't the time to be asking those questions, man.
Hey, let's let Rian Johnson do that for his trilogy.
And there, in a trilogy of films, you can get away with it.
Right.
Like no joke, but And the thing is, granted, is any of this gonna happen? Probably not. At least I hope not.
No,
but
there's a very big chance that it's not going to happen. It's just, once again, people theorizing, and people are going to be disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Oh, are you kidding me? I'm gonna be stoked when it doesn't happen. Because
No,
hell,
what will the reaction of the people be who so latched onto this theory like they did with The Last Jedi, and then they didn't do it. This movie sucks. Ah, that type of shit.
well, luckily, I'm pretty sure that is a much smaller minority than the shitbags who are still trying to fight Rian Johnson at every possible corner. Which, guys, seriously, please, come on, grow up. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes of your life. You can get it back. Go to the beach. Go outside. Read a book. Talk to a girl. I know that's hard for a lot of you basement dwellers to do, but, you know, you can do it. Okay? For example,
Keep on me, spaceman.
Yeah, exactly. But, and you know what? Since we got you here, Snaxx, do you mind if I ask you, like, what are some of your just, light, where are some of your light, fun, quote-unquote, expectations or light, fun predictions for Episode 9, real quick?
It's not so much expectations. When the prequels came out, I learned to go into a Star Wars movie. After Episode 1, I learned when I went to go see a Star Wars movie, don't go in with any expectations whatsoever. Hope for a good movie, hope for a good story, and you won't be Twitter demon fanboys, headcanon fan fiction, not my Luke Skywalker. Don't go into the movie with any preconceived notions, and you're probably not going to be disappointed coming out of it. If you go in there thinking you know exactly what's going to happen, and when it doesn't, you turn into the Twitter swamp. So I don't have any real expectations other than give me a good story and make it make sense that it wraps up the entire trilogy of trilogies. That's all I want.
Awesome. I can really respect that, And again, in our conversations that we've had, Snaxx, that's why I like you, because you clearly show you are passionate as fuck about a lot of this stuff. But you also keep a level head, and I don't see that enough these days anymore. So please, sir, you keep being a positive role model of what true Star Wars fans should be.
Absolutely, I will continue to be so.
And actually, in Kees, you and I haven't had this conversation in a while either. As far as just like, light things you personally want in Rise of Skywalker. I don't think I've asked you that in a while.
Raylo, it's gonna happen. You all can deny whatever the fuck you want. It's gonna fucking happen. It was set up in The Last Jedi. It was heavily set up in The Last Jedi. So I'm like, if you're still denying it, you're just in denial, I feel. And as like, I don't think that that they will both just have a happily ever after and live on. I think that the screenwriters know that Kylo cannot live throughout this trilogy. Rey will, but Kylo can't. But Rey might. I'm not entirely sure. But, well, that's the thing. What I do want is for Rey to end up pregnant by Kylo. Kylo then dies in whatever way. Like, that's the thing. You don't need to redeem him. You don't need to do the Darth Vader crap that we already know from Return of the Jedi. Just make sure that happens at one point. And then Rey can, be happy with Poe.
Yeah.
Because I do think that there's possibility there. I don't think it will be Finn because there's... well, we had the very nice friend zone moment at the end of Force Awakens. And, like, the hug at The Last Jedi is...
Yes!
We also had the hug at the end of The Last Jedi, but I think that was just a friend hug because, to be fair, Rose is still in the picture, and she's gonna be as unfortunate as that is. Because look, I have nothing against Kelly Marie Tran. I really want that clear, but I just don't think that the character that was written for her was particularly good. But she's still gonna be a thing, so I hope that at least JJ makes me like her more in the next movie and uses her better as a character to help Finn, because I do get that she is there as a character to help Finn's character progress, but I hope, like, I haven't been the biggest Finn fan based off the first two movies, and I want them to really get to a point where I'm like, Finn is a great character, Rose is a great character, because I think there's potential. The actors are at least good, so I think like that's an interesting storyline, and I just want to see a really kick-ass either space battle or a lightsaber fight or just land battle, because I think that like, come on, that's Star Wars for you, and we need that. And not the prequel lightsaber fights, but more like the one we had in The Last Jedi with Rey and Kylo fighting the guards, which was fucking awesome. We're not gonna get prequel choreography, Chris. Get over it.
Bite me. But a little clarification for Snaxx there, because I'm glad that Kees brought up one of my things, which is now. Because the thing that I've been wanting since The Last Jedi now, and it's not because, and surprisingly, it's not because I want to be like, oh, super shipper, I love it all, but the reason I do want Rey to wind up pregnant at the end of this movie, because I personally think it's because first off, we know there's going to be an episode 10, 11, 12 in like 10, 15 years from now. We know there will be more in the saga. Disney won't let this cash cow die. They won't. So why don't we do this organically, where, let's say, Rey and Kylo have sex one time, because of course it's all it needs in movies, right? You just need to have sex one time. But this way she...
Suspension of disbelief.
Exactly. But this way she winds up giving metaphorical and literal birth to the new generation of Jedi, or Skywalkers, or Force users, whatever the term is. And this way, that child now has the responsibility of just simply redeeming the Skywalker name. And that is where you end the story. But again, I'm just crazy in that regard. Nico, again, we haven't had this chat in a while. Things you want. Hit me.
Okay, one thing that I've thought about is that with the release of the Sith Troopers for this past Comic-Con, there's been some speculation as to, will there be like a revolt from the regular Stormtroopers as led by Finn? And I'd very much be interested in seeing something like that happening. Like, how do you beat a dictatorship? Take it down from the inside. How do you take it down from the inside? Turn its members against one another. And so, like, to have someone like Finn, Finn was the guy who realized, oh my God, what we're doing is horrible. I should get out now and just run away. Run away. This isn't for me. I need to run away. If he can get the other troopers to realize, hey, listen, these guys don't have your best interest at heart. They see you as expendable, and look at the things they're having you do to people just like you. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. Listen, this has gone too far. Come join us. Come see the light. I'd very much be interested in seeing something like that. Also, I'd like some more information as to who is Kerry Russell playing. We've heard rumors as, is she Rey's long-lost sister? Is she just her own person? Could be a blend of both. I'm curious as to see where it goes. But I'll tell you this.
I think she's that new bounty hunter.
Yeah.
She is that new bounty hunter.
But
That's what
he
I
means
think.
like, who is she? Does she have any relation? And I hope to God not. No, because
No.
No.
But
Oh my
I'll
God,
tell
it's
you.
Han Solo's long-lost love child.
I'll tell you this. I don't want to see Rey get pregnant. I want to see the Skywalker name continue as like a new faction of Force users after like Rey. Maybe there is a love. Maybe there is a relationship of love between these two, between Rey and Kylo. But I feel like Kylo won't get redeemed, and I feel like it's going to be a tragedy in which Rey realizes she has to take Kylo down at any means necessary in order for the safety of the galaxy. And so, like, it ends, and she ends up having to destroy the one she loves. She ends up having to destroy the last official Skywalker by blood. And she decides, as a tribute, she carries on the name of Skywalker by having that be the new faction of Force users, the Skywalker Order, if you will.
I can wrap my head around that.
I also forgot to say I'm very, very curious how the TV show Resistance will tie into all of this.
Yes. I swear to God, if we see the Colossus, I will freak.
I think.
And
Well,
we'll see the Mandalorian.
Please.
Jesus Christ. I think that the Colossus will probably be gone by the Rise of Skywalker.
Probably.
Because that's how season 2 will probably end. That's my theory.
Nico is now bleeding from his ears.
Sorry.
What the hell was that scream?
Hey.
I still don't really fully understand that.
I'm still honestly a little bit woozy from when I did the face palm from when Snaxx read that headline. Like I apparently cracked myself really hard.
If you need to go to the hospital, go to the hospital.
Can concuss himself from a face palm.
Oh, it's fine. I've done the same thing. Actually, I'm kind of not kidding on that one. That's a story for another time. But so I guess for like our final thoughts is like, of course, when it comes to Star Wars, the conversation will always just turn out to be, how is the execution of whatever the idea is. If it's great, then great. I'm not gonna complain. I'll shut my mouth and I'll go along with it because, for God's sakes, we as a society have been doing that since 1977. I myself have been doing it since 1996. So, yeah. But that said, I see no. I'll put it this way: I see about a 1% chance of the mere idea of time travel in Star Wars working. Otherwise, I just don't.
Just not in the movies.
No, just not in the movies. Honestly, if you want to do an entire book about time travel in Star Wars, oh, I'm all over that shit. You want to do an entire TV show about time travel in Star Wars? Again, I'm all over that shit. Keep it out of the movies, please. Please keep it out of the movies.
It'll just confuse people.
It will. So, any other final thoughts?
Enough of The Last Jedi. You confused people enough with The Last Jedi. Let's not do it again.
Yeah. Because, you know what, and here's the other thing too. If you go back in time and undo the events of Last Jedi and Force Awakens, that's a big fuck you to everyone who loves those movies.
No, but those movies sucks, and I hate them, and they need to be retconned because fuck you, Ryan Johnson.
I resent the Twitter mob.
Well, then I suppose with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. Again, guys, I am so sorry my computer spazzed out in the first 15 minutes of the show. But I'm glad we ended on a strong note. I'm glad that we got it back up and running. And to all the audio listeners, you won't notice a fucking thing. And I envy every single one of you. But to everybody in the chat, you guys are all awesome. And, of course, we're going to go across the panel, starting with our special guest, DJ Snaxx. Where can the good folks find you online?
Well, first of all, gentlemen, Kees, Nico, Chris, thank you for having me on tonight. I do very much appreciate it. Happy to come back on anytime you want to have me on. Wonderful fun tonight, great discussion. I hope the folks who tuned into the show enjoyed it as well. You can find me at Real Snaxx Attacks. That's 2 X's in both Snacks and Attacks. All over social media. You look that name up, that's where I am.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Nico Suave Regoli, where can the good folks find you online?
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli, or just Nico Suave with 4 random meaningless numbers thrown in at the end on Discord. You can find me right here on Dedicated to Art or at D2A Channel, depending on the social media platform. I did shoot a couple Shredon reactions on my own while I was on vacation, but I'm not going to lie. There were some audio difficulties as I was shooting them. So One of them involved a bunch of people coming in and out of the hallway and me having to shoot in a bathroom and then people knocking on the door. And it was just a nightmare to deal with. So those probably won't see the light of the day. I'll just say congratulations to Paulo Yama, Kevin Smets, and great job. Just gonna say everyone involved in today's title match. It was a great match. Combat Wrestling Trivia on Facebook, Combat Wrestling Network on YouTube. The poorly made Twitter handle is @Combat Wrestling, the number 2. There's no letter G. Rolling Crits on YouTube, @Rolling Crits on Instagram. My friends don't know how YouTube works, so it'll probably be another month before we get another episode of that show. And finally, Zaddy Smith and my last episode of Crisis on Earthplex was this week on Multiplex Entertainment. R.I.P. I have no more obligations for that channel outside of competing and managing.
Well, yeah, and speaking of competing real quick, you and I have, we're just waiting on the finals. We're waiting on either Ragnarok or Team 80s. And either way, it's going to be a great match because it's either going to be the Fellowship versus yourself and House Night Fury and myself. And I've wanted Cody Newberry for years. I want to take that arrogant son of a bitch on. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. Kees, where can the good folks find you online?
At Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter, tweeting out #ChinaSticks.
Yes.
Still make it continue. And Kees Cornelisse on Facebook and Letterboxd. That's it. Oh, and hosting our DTRA Schmodown reactions, which are awesome. Title match is going to drop after this, so that's going to be awesome.
Yes, it is. Literally, I've got it uploading right now, so it's just going to be... I just have to make the thumbnail, and then it'll be up, and then you guys can watch it. Our reaction to a phenomenal live title match, and... And as Kees will mention towards the end of that video, the field is going to open up a little bit, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. So until then, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, Letterboxd, and Discord @Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram @D2A Channel. Please like our Facebook page. And, speaking of Robert Adams, I do see you're in the chat, sir. He'll actually be on the show next week with a little announcement he's going to bring. What kind of shenanigans are we going to get into? Because it's the Adams brothers. When has anything ever gone right with them on the show? Because it's always a fun time. There's always shenanigans, and we always love them. But until then, you guys know what to do. Take care!
China Sticks!
Each other.